Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Art Games. Today we are going to rank the different ancient era non-naval units in Civilization 5 because I did a tier list like this last time about naval units, but land units are just a lot more broad, so I'm going to do this by era, starting with the ancient era of course. And I hope you guys like this list. If you disagree with my ranking, put it in the comments. If you agree, you can also put it in the comments. So let's start. The archer. The archer is the starting ranged unit in Civilization 5. It's available to every civilization except the ones with a special um, unit to replace it, and it's a good unit. Range attacks are always nice, but it's not exceptional. So I'm going to put it B tier. The athlete list, or however you're supposed to pronounce it, is the replaces the archer for the Mayan civilization, and it's available with agriculture rather than archery. So it's available from the start of the game. You'll be able to build it from the start, and it also costs less than the archer to build. So it's basically just a better archer, a cheaper and earlier available archer. So that deserves an A tier, according to me. The battering ram. The battering ram is the special unit of the Huns, and it's especially effective against cities. It's a battering ram, of course. It basically replaces the spear. It replaces the spearman, and it upgrades to the trebuchet for some reason. And it has a 300% bonus versus cities. So if you're planning to go on an early war, these are definitely going to be going to be a good choice. I'm going to put it B tier, not exceptional, I believe, and it does replace the spearman, which makes your normal combat against enemy units worse. The bowman is basically just I don't know why I put the athlete list there. The bowman is basically just a better archer. It has more combat strength. Yeah, that's all there really is to say about it. It's just a better archer, and for that I believe 8. I mean, the athlete list is also a better archer, but it's cheaper, not better. So the bowman is just a better archer and is able to keep up better with other units. So I might change this later, but for now I'm going to put it in S tier. The brutes. The brute is the barbarian replacement for the warrior, and it's not really that different. But considering the warrior itself isn't that great, I'm going to put it in D tier. Chariot archer. The chariot archer is an archer on a chariot. It's able to move quickly, but it has a penalty for movement in rough terrain. So the moment it enters rough terrain, that's all the movement gone. And its range attack, I mean, it's alright, but nothing is exceptional. I personally think it's a waste of money. There are better options. So C tier. The hoplite. The hoplite is the replacement for the spearman used by the Greeks, and it's basically just has stronger combat strength, 2 extra combat strength. So I think that deserves an A tier. The immortal can heal faster, but it also has extra combat strength, but not as much as the hoplite. So I'm going to put it in A tier as well. The jaguar, I think that's another S tier. It's a really effective unit at its job, because it has a ton of abilities. It heals whenever it kills a unit, so that's always nice. It has double movement through forest and jungle, and it also has a combat bonus in forest and jungle. So if you are in forest and jungle, these things can be impossible to counter in the early game. They replaced the warrior, by the way, which is also nice. So then they'll be available from the very start of the game. The Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is another interesting unit. It can choose a benefit whenever entering a how's it called again, an ancient ruin, instead of receiving one at random, which is good. And it replaces the scouts, and obviously has a lot better combat strength. And after entering an ancient ruin, it upgrades to a composite bowman. So I think that deserves another S tier. Being able to upgrade. Actually, I'm going to put it A tier, because it has almost double the production cost of a normal scout. It's used by the Shoshone civilization, by the way. The Pictish warrior is an excellent offensive unit used by the Celtics, and they get a bonus when fighting in foreign lands, and they also don't have any movement cost to pillaging. But they don't have any combat bonuses with versus mounted units, and they replace the spearman, so that sucks. But whenever they kill an opponent, they gain 50% of that opponent's strength as faith. So it's really a good option for just general offensive gameplay or religious combat gameplay. But it's not an I think B tier is most. It's not exceptional. The scouts. The scout is a nice, scouts. It's able to move through forests and jungles and other rough terrain at no cost, which is nice. But you could argue that it doesn't really matter being able to travel across the terrain like this. So I'm going to put it in F. I'm going to put it in C tier with the chariot archer. The slinger replaces the archer, and it's available from the beginning of the game, which is nice. It's a unique unit of the Incan civilization, and they can retreat whenever they get attacked by a melee unit. Of course, there is a limit to this, but it's still an exceptional ability. Although they do have less melee strength, but that doesn't really matter because they will be able to retreat from melee attacks. So I think that's another deserving S tier. The spearman. Well, since I put the hoplites and the immortals in A tier, I think it deserves a B tier since it's just a worse hoplite or immortal. The war chariot is the unique unit utilized by the Greek civilization, and yeah, there isn't really a lot to talk about except the fact that they have more movement than a regular chariot archer. But to be honest, I don't think that we'll be able to put it in B tier because it still loses all its movement once it enters rough terrain, and most parts of the civilization ruled are rough terrain. Perhaps if it was later in the game in medieval or modern era, then perhaps it would be worth it because then a lot of the heavy terrain would already have been replaced, as in the forest cut down. But in the ancient era, I don't see its use. Actually, I'm going to put the brute in F tier, and the chariot archer in D tier. I don't think they deserve to be on the same level as the war chariot, but the war chariot itself is also pretty bad. The scout can remain in C tier though. And I'm gonna put no, I'm gonna put the Spearman in C tier, the War Chariot in D tier, and the Chariot Archer with the Brute in F tier, because the Spearman just isn't as good as the Archer. Archers can be a very effective ranged unit, but Spearmen aren't a ranged unit. They do have better melee combat ability, but I think ranged units are better because they're able to damage enemies without getting damaged themselves. The last option is the War Elephant, which is the unique unit utilized by India. And it doesn't require horses, just like every Chariot Archer unit, which is really nice. And it also has extra combat strength compared to Chariot Archers, but it costs significantly more production and has slower movement. And it also doesn't have the rough terrain penalty that's really held the War Chariot and Chariot Archer back. So I'm going to put it in. I think this is a solid B tier. Yeah. I don't know why the Warrior isn't here, but it's basically the same as the Brute, so also F tier. Is there anything I would like to change about this? No. I think that this is that this is the best tier list that I can make. I hope you like it. If you don't, leave a comment with what you would change about it. If you do, leave a like on the video, and goodbye.